There's a parasite that can quietly influence how you behave, and there's a real chance you're already carrying it. Think of something so small you could never see it, slipping into the body without setting off any alarms. It doesn't make you feel sick. It doesn't send you to the hospital. Most people never notice anything at all. There's no pain, no fever, no clear warning sign. Life feels completely normal on the outside. Instead, it does something far more unsettling, something that happens slowly, behind the scenes. It can gently rewire the way your mind works, not like flipping a switch, but more like turning tiny dials you didn't even know were there. This microscopic hitchhiker is called Toxoplasma gondii, a master of stealth that scientists often describe as a real-life mind influencer. Imagine a passenger riding silently inside the body, avoiding detection, learning how its host works. What makes it truly shocking is how common it is. You don't have to travel to dangerous places or do anything extreme to encounter it. This isn't rare or exotic, it exists in everyday environments. Simple, everyday moments. Touching a cat, cleaning a litter box, or eating food that isn't fully cooked can be enough. Ordinary actions, the kind people do without a second thought, can open the door. Once inside the body, it doesn't just drift around harmlessly. It doesn't float aimlessly or fade away. It doesn't settle in the stomach or stay in the bloodstream. It doesn't choose the obvious places you might expect. Instead, it makes a direct journey to the brain, and that's where things get strange. Picture it crossing into the control center, where thoughts, emotions, and instincts live. In animals, it literally turns fear off. The natural warning system goes quiet. Infected mice stop avoiding cats. They're natural predators. What once triggered panic suddenly feels unimportant. Some even wander toward them, as if danger no longer exists. The mouse behaves as though the threat has been erased from its mind. This isn't an accident. That altered behavior helps the parasite complete its life cycle and survive. By changing behavior, the parasite increases its own chances of spreading. Humans aren't immune to its influence. Millions of people around the world carry it right now. Many go to work, go to school, and live normal lives without any idea it's there. Research suggests it may subtly affect behavior, raising risk-taking, altering judgment, and nudging personality traits in small but measurable ways. Not dramatic changes, but gentle pushes that can add up over time. And because the changes are so quiet, so gradual, they blend into everyday thoughts and choices. A person could live with it for years or even decades, never realizing something unseen has been shaping their decisions from within. All the while, a microscopic presence may be whispering softly in the background of the mind. On the day his mother was laid to rest, the boy didn't shed a single tear. His face was dry, his eyes empty, as if all emotion had been switched off. He stood there, motionless, watching relatives crumble and sob, while his mind drifted elsewhere, toward home, toward his room, toward the glowing screen waiting for him. Crying voices echoed around him, shoulders shook, hands covered faces, but he stared past it all, already imagining the familiar light of his monitor. The moment the burial ended, he rushed back, slammed his bedroom door shut, powered on his game, and whispered with relief. The screen flickered to life, colors filled the dark room, and the outside world disappeared. At last, I can play as much as I want. No one knew what had led to this moment. No one knew what memories were buried beneath his silence. 2 weeks earlier, his mother had burst into his room, her voice sharp with exhaustion, telling him to stop playing and focus on his studies. She stood in the doorway, tired eyes watching her son, hoping he would turn around. He didn't even look at her. His fingers kept moving, locked to the controller, eyes glued to the screen. Frustrated and angry, she reached over and turned the game off. The room went dark. The music stopped. The silence hit hard. That was when something inside him snapped. "I hate you. I never want to see you again." He stormed out, leaving her standing there, alone. The door slammed and his footsteps faded down the hall. After the funeral, the house fell silent, but the boy's room glowed endlessly. Light spilled from under his door while the rest of the house stayed dark. He played for hours, days, nights. No one scolded him. No one turned the game off. No one called his name. Then the hunger came. His stomach ached, reminding him he was alone. Then the silence grew heavier. The kind of silence that presses on your chest. Loneliness wrapped itself around him. Like a cold blanket he couldn't escape. He began to miss her voice. He missed her anger. He missed the door opening and her telling him to stop playing. At night, she appeared in his dreams. Her face clear, her voice familiar. In the morning, he woke to an empty house. No footsteps, no movement, no warmth. That was when the tears finally came. Uncontrollable, crushing, endless. Only then did he understand that nothing in this world is more precious than a mother's love. Through broken sobs, he whispered, "If she were here, I'd do anything she asked. Anything. Just to see her smile again." But time doesn't turn back, because too often we fail to value the people who love us most, until their absence becomes permanent. The bus was packed tight, Bodies pressed together, air thick and restless. People stood shoulder to shoulder, the vehicle rocking slightly as it moved through traffic. The smell of sweat and warm air filled the space. A woman stood gripping the rail, her young daughter beside her, shifting from foot to foot. The girl's shoes scuffed the floor as she tried to stay balanced, her small hands clenching and unclenching. Suddenly, the little girl began to cry. Tears welled up and spilled down her cheeks as the noise of the bus swallowed her sobs. "Mom," she whimpered, her voice small and tired. "My legs hurt. I just want to sit down." Her knees trembled, and she leaned against her mother for support. The mother's eyes swept across the bus. She turned her head slowly, scanning every row. Every seat was taken, every single one. People avoided eye contact, pretending not to notice, all except one. It stood out like a spotlight in the crowded bus. A young man sat there, headphones on, staring ahead. He didn't move, his face calm, his gaze fixed somewhere far away. She marched over and tapped him sharply. The tap was quick and firm, leaving no room for confusion. "You're young," she said. "Give your seat to my child." Her tone was commanding, certain she was right. The man hesitated. His fingers tightened slightly, and for a moment he said nothing. Her voice rose, sharp enough to cut through the bus noise. Conversation stopped, and the hum of the engine seemed louder. "There's no compassion left in this world," she snapped. Her words echoed between the metal walls of the bus. "Can't you see my child crying while you just sit there?" She gestured toward her daughter, who stood silently now. People turned. The bus grew tense. Eyes shifted back and forth, the air suddenly heavy with judgment. Finally, the man stood up, slowly, carefully, as if each movement required effort. And then, everything changed. The moment stretched, frozen in time. Silence fell as everyone saw what he had tried to hide. Gasps were swallowed, and faces stiffened. He had only one leg. The missing limb explained everything. The bus swayed, and he struggled to steady himself, gripping a pole as faces filled with shock and regret. His balance wavered, but he remained quiet, saying nothing. But the woman didn't stop. She didn't look at him closely. She pulled her daughter forward. Her hand tightened around the girl's wrist. "Sit down," she insisted. "Don't argue, you're just a child." Her voice was firm, leaving no space for refusal. The little girl froze. Her feet stayed planted where they were. She looked up at the man, his effort to stand, his quiet endurance. She noticed his clenched jaw and the way he held himself steady. Something tightened in her chest. Her breathing slowed, and her eyes softened. Without a word, she stepped back. Her small movement felt huge in the silent bus. She reached for his hand and said softly, her fingers were gentle, her touch unsure but sincere. "Please sit down, sir. I don't need the seat anymore." Her voice was calm, but full of meaning. The bus went silent again. No one moved. No one spoke. Not from shame, but from awe. Because in that moment, a child showed a kindness that many adults had forgotten. Sometimes it isn't age that teaches us humanity. It's innocence. Here's a bonus fact for you. A man who consumes watermelon mixed with cucumber each day may notice clearer skin, fewer blemishes, and a natural, healthy glow. A man who regularly drinks a blend of orange and lemon may develop stronger muscles and better overall physical performance. A man who drinks apple mixed with ginger every day may feel less bloated and notice a reduction in inflammation. A man who blends carrot and banana daily may experience improved eyesight and more comfortable digestion. Including a bit of honey in the daily diet for 2 weeks may support energy use and digestion, helping the body feel lighter and more regulated from within. Taking turmeric daily for 2 weeks may support the body's natural response to inflammation, which can reflect outwardly as calmer, clearer-looking skin. Adding avocado to meals each day for 2 weeks may help the body feel more nourished and balanced, which some people associate with a fuller, more naturally shaped silhouette. Consuming ginger every day for 2 weeks may help the body manage menstrual discomfort, with some experiencing a gentler and more comfortable cycle.